All right. Next up, Microsoft wants to bring back classic Rare franchises.
That'd be great.
And there's a lot of things going towards this right now. Like last week, one of the composers of Rare's music said that 2015 is going to be a really big year for them. And then now, this Microsoft dude, he's saying like, dude, Banjo-Kazooie, Battletoads, Perfect Dark, Viva Pinata, they're going to come someday. They're just trying to find developers passionate about the projects. This is cool.
It is cool. I have questions about... It's clear what IP they own and what IP came with them when Microsoft bought them and what didn't. What I'm most curious about is, especially like their most prolific output in terms of games made was during the NES era. They made like 25 games. And a lot of people don't realize that for some reason.
Yeah, what were some of the...
I mean, their biggest games on NES were Wizards and Warriors, but they did like Cobra Triangle and Snake Rattle and Roll, and like they did a bunch of shit, Anticipation, like a lot of games. I'm curious like how far back the ownership is attached with the IP to Rare. In other words, Nintendo published a lot of their games, and they made games for Amiga and stuff too, but I wonder who owns Wizards and Warriors. Like that would be... You don't hear that name thrown around very much. Yeah. I have to assume that Nintendo owns that name, but that was their like... Everyone always talks about Jet Force, Gemini, or something like that, like is like really, or Donkey Kong Country, like when they really became Rare. But like Wizards and Warriors was huge, and a lot of people forget that they made those games. So I'd love to see them go way back to Wizards and Warriors, and do something like that, or do Cobra Triangle, or something really, really wild and weird. But who the hell owns those IPs? Are long dormant. So
can you imagine seeing a trailer for Xbox One Wizards and Warriors?
That'd be awesome. Like
that'd be insane.
That would be like it would be so cool, like a almost like a MOBA or something. You could do like whatever you wanted with that, but they're gonna have problems because Rare's talent. I mean, they're still very talented. I don't mean to disparage people at Rare. They're very talented people over there, but the talent that made those games that people love are long gone. And
then it's just an empty shell, right, of the title, and then it's trying to live up to that. That's the problem. Like, remember when they re-released GoldenEye?
Yeah.
And everybody was leading up to like GoldenEye's back, and then nobody cared when it came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that wasn't Rare though.
Sure.
That was the opposite side of the issue. But yeah, I mean, Killer Instinct, people like that. Like the fans of it are into it. Like Destin loved Killer Instinct.
Sure.
But did Rare do Killer Instinct, the new one? Because I thought that was the guys that did the Borderlands 2 port.
I guess it's the same issue then.
Twin Galaxies.
Yeah.
Iron Galaxies. Or not Iron Galaxies. Twin Galaxies is the leaderboard.
Yeah. They didn't do anything.
Leaderboard.
They didn't do anything.
Iron Galaxy, that's right.
Yeah, so but Rare did the Viva Pinata on last gen. And
Viva Pinata is a game a select group of people really love and talk about. I mean, Christine Steimer loves that game. You know
Alfredo
what I mean?
Diaz.
Like, right.
Loves that
Making
game.
caterpillars make out. Yeah, everybody loves it. But like, and that would be an easier one to come on to. But I mean, to come on to Battletoads, to come on to Perfect Dark, and try to make these games, like, are you?
And Perfect Dark. It's like
Perfect Dark Zero. That was a huge hit.
Yeah, I feel like, and they even were specifically talking about like maybe making Perfect Dark a third-person like stealth game. And it's like that could have some potential. Like the characters in the world of Perfect Dark, they're fun and cool. I just don't know if they're, still primed for 2015. Like those are definitely some 90s ass characters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's interesting. I think KI was the really interesting kind of case study in terms of that was clearly an IP that Microsoft received with the acquisition of Rare. Rare was clearly smart enough, I guess, to hold on to those IPs when they were making those games for SNES. But like, what does it mean that they didn't even make Killer Instinct? Like, in other words, what is the involvement of, like, it's almost like when they bought Rare, they got the IP that was way more valuable than the studio. And like, to me, Rare doesn't mean anything anymore. So it's like, who cares? Like in a way, it's like, take the IP and give them the Rare is maybe capable of making these games, but they've not been allowed the chance to shine. They've been making like Connect Adventures and like weird things like that. It's like, why would you ever do that to that studio? You just gutted that studio and gutted its legacy. So take the games and give them the studios that have shown capability of treating them kindly, like Jet Force Gemini or Banjo. Obviously, like, it doesn't have to be Rare. Like, the IP is more valuable than the Rare name at this point.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are kids that grew up have no idea what Rare is.
They kind of know that. This is all about them wanting to bring back the franchises and finding the right fits to make those games. So I think that could be cool. Like, for me specifically, Battletoads. Like, just the idea of playing a Battletoads now excites me. Like, I just like them as characters and like that world. It's Ninja Turtles, but it's not Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Cool. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Unlockable in the game would be the original game, of course.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, great. I really wonder the resonance that a lot of these, I think as we get older, I think especially Greg and I, like, we're just old. Like,
we are old.
Battletoads meant something back in the day, like when it came out in NES. I mean, the NES game as we talked about is just notoriously hard. Game's bullshit, but like, it's like one of the few games I can go back and it just beats my ass. That motorcycle or that like, everyone knows that part. Yeah. But to me, it's like what value does Battletoads really have today? Microsoft has to be very smart with what they do. Like Battletoads doesn't mean anything anymore. Like it might be cool, but it's like.
It'd be like DuckTales remastered.
I was just about to say, DuckTales is a perfect example. Where
everybody gets super stoked and makes the video, and oh my god, it's back, and then it comes on, and it doesn't make any waves.
And no one plays.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, and it was good, but it wasn't like the original's like way better. And that was like a frame for frame remake of the original. It wasn't even like a new game. So it was a new game in its own way, but it was the same same kind of thing. Yeah. And so to me, I wonder like how far back can you really conceivably go? We were talking about Wizards and Warriors. That would be funny, but like that doesn't mean anything to anyone. The Battletoads doesn't mean anything to anyone. Cobra Triangle doesn't mean anything to anyone. You have to maybe go back to Donkey Kong Country, but obviously Donkey Kong's really with retro now. You have to, so it's like, can you go back to Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark? They ruined Perfect Dark with that Xbox 360 launch game. You know what I'm saying?
At
it's
this
like,
point, you're taking developers and you're like, can you make a third-person shooter? All right, make it Perfect Dark. And it's like, well, just let them make a game. Like, if we're starting from scratch, or there's going to be so much baggage to the name that either it's going to be, oh, last Perfect Dark sucked, or I remember Perfect Dark 1964 and I loved it. Like, either way, there's now a stigma attached to it. Just let them make a game.
Yeah. I think Banjo-Kazooie, too. It's like, everyone wanted another one, and they did the one last
Nuts and
gen,
bolts.
And it just wasn't what people wanted. And it's like, well, that could have just been a different franchise completely, and people might have enjoyed it a bit more.
Yeah. If you didn't have
but
those
then there's the other
expectations.
side of it. Well, maybe it did as well as it did
Because of the
just
name.
because of Banjo. But
I mean, the beauty of this situation for Microsoft is that, and you see this with the Phantom Dust, announcement, which is a game that sold like fewer than 100,000 copies, but it's getting like a remake. Microsoft seems eager now that it's kind of gotten older. Microsoft's an old company from the Albuquerque days in the late 70s, but the in terms of Xbox 2001 really when it became when it was really a thing, they look like they want to celebrate their heritage a little bit more. And the beauty is that they can't go much further back than Halo, but they can with Rare because of the IP they own, and it seems like that is they have the propensity and the eagerness to do that where they can and when they can. So. And Phantom Dust is the obvious thing to that. Although the Blinks IP kind of going away because Blinks is their trademark on Blinks is expired, so they're obviously not making a new one, which is the other IP that people always talked about. Right. In other words, like they're not old enough to have like ancient IP, but Rare is, and so I think that they just want to go back and see like what they can do. But I agree with you guys in the sense that it's just smarter to make a new game and use your talented developers internally and second party to make what they want to make. It doesn't have to be like Phantom Dust is interesting, but what is it doing? Like, why lock it into that? Why not let them just make an RPG that they want to make? Yeah. So, I don't know.
I would want just like a small. I don't need a full like crazy retail game, but like a Battletoads that's just like a downloadable game. That's what I want. I just want a small little bit for the, thousands of people that do care about it and do remember. Yeah. Because you're right. We're not gonna win new people over with Battletoads, but I mean, like, it'll be fun.
I mean, it'll be cool. It'll be the zeitgeist for a little while for old people. Yeah. But you don't want like.
It's the same thing like Killer Instinct.
You don't need Greg and I. You need your 15-year-old kids and like Killer Instinct was cool and it was a different kind of model and people liked it and it was a sound fighting game. But again, that was a weird. I mean, Killer Instinct never had like. There's some revisionist history there too because Killer Instinct Killer Instinct was cool. Clay Fighters was cool. All these random ass games that came out in the mid '90s that were fighting games, but no one cared about them really. Like it was
cool to watch the fatalities, or whatever the hell they call them, that weren't fatalities.
Like everyone liked Street Fighter, and everyone liked Samurai Showdown stuff. Like those were the serious fighting games, not Killer Instinct. So again, it's like going back and like making something new again that wasn't really that exciting to begin with.
But it's the same thing as DuckTales because I remember at E3 when we first saw a trailer, everyone lost their shit. They're like, "Oh my god, it's Killer Instinct!" And then no one played it. So I don't know.